Hey guys, we are back with another PixARK video. Today I'd like to feature dungeons. We'll show you the ones that will help get you the good quality early gear and show you some tips and tricks on how to conquer these on your own. Now, the lowest level and easiest accessible dungeon to start can be found in the Grasslands Biome. It's featured just behind me here. It's just a shade of green lighter than your starter areas and has creatures such as coyotes, dilos, dodos, pterodons, sauropods, trikes, and parasaurs. Sometimes they will have ravines which will hold little tameable magic mushroom mobs as well. I haven't found a use for them yet, but I have a theory. We'll figure it out on stream later. But you'll fly around. Sometimes they'll spawn, sometimes they won't, but you just have to find a Grasslands biome that has these buildings right here featured in them. I call them old houses or ruins. Now, in every ruin or dungeon, there will be mobs with ruins in the name. As featured here for this specific one, these are filled with coyotes. The easiest weapon to get and use this dungeon is going to be a spear and a bow and arrows. You can get your bow and arrow at like 15, and you can get your first bow at 15, which will be pretty easy, but for the most part, you're going to be relying on spears, and if you want to do the farming for it, go ahead and get copper weapons, stone weapons, and all of that. I suggest making over 100 arrows because you're going to go through them fast, especially if the coyotes are mate boosted, as featured here. It just means that there's a female and a male nearby close to. They do not, thankfully, currently have pack bonuses, but this might change as wolves and Ark Survival Evolved do. Now, as you can see, they can't get through, so this is a nice, easy, and cheesy way to block them off. You just build a dirt pillar one out from the doorway, and they'll go ahead and get stuck in there. Make it easy to go ahead and safely kill them from a nice distance. The spear should reach far enough away. Sometimes they'll get stuck in the floor. You're just going to have to avoid them because there's like no current way to kind of kill them. So your first chest is going to be in here in the bottom right corner. You'll need to break away some of the chests nearby, but the loot in here, sometimes you'll get copper. Most of the time you'll see sleepy arrows, magic arrows, and candles, but there will be typically, glass, copper, lots of arrows, so it makes it a little bit easier if you're worried about supplies. These are the quickest and easiest ones to go ahead and get, and the wolves themselves do have a loot table. Sometimes they'll go ahead and drop leather and copper gear. This is crazy. I'm just going to go ahead and use some magic here. Don't mind me. The ones that are stuck in the floor didn't get hit because they are stuck in the floor. It is an early access game, but sometimes it'll have cool loot like a lightning protection helmet. There are lightning storms, and when you get hit, you'll get dazed and stunned off of your mount if you're on one for a bit. The reason I specifically like these ruins is because of the magic sleepy arrows. You can get them en masse, and magic sleepy arrows as of now are harder to make because they upped the difficulty on the crafting. And with how often these dungeons spawn, it makes it a quick and easy way to do it, also while getting that early XP that you desperately need. Hey guys, hello, how you doing? And I forgot to mention, down there is going to be your second chest. It's going to be buried underneath all of those crates. You just need to break them down. It works with a pickaxe. You do more damage with a pike or a weapon. Sometimes these guys will get stuck, but it makes it all the easier to shoot. Your last and final chest is going to be up here in the attic. And this will have some of the better loot of the dungeon. As you can tell, we got a Journeyman Trike saddle and some Apprentice leather pants, which is going to be pretty great for you starting off. But the best thing about this dungeon is you can do them en masse. There's a lot that will be around just in the area. I can see 5. And that'll go ahead and get you the loot and the experience that you need. Now, it will also have a chance to drop some good weapons. As you can see here, just on the second one, got an Apprentice bow, which is already an upgrade. It's 119.2% damage better than, you know, your average primitive. And just keep it, don't shy away if you see a primitive set either, because chances are if it's coming from a chest or a drop, it'll still be better than just, you know, making it. Making it will start at base 100. Primitive has a chance to go up to about, I think, 110%. Go ahead and grab that. Sometimes they'll drop potions there as well, which is pretty great. And I'm just going through the second dungeon to show you the other kind of loot that you can get as it goes. And the meat blocks they drop will be meat and fur. Looks like this one dropped primitive copper breastplate, which is going to help you out right away. Now this one came with a normal pterodon saddle, which you can't make these until level 20, but you can still tame a pterodon. So, but at 15, you'll get your bow and arrow, and you can use the sleep arrows that you find in the dungeon, knock out a pterodon. You got a pterodon before you have to even make it at level 20. Looks like we got another triceratops saddle. So these dungeons are definitely worth to find and do in the beginning when you're starving for gear and just loot and really just experience. It's a really good... What are you doing? Now, what is unique for this game's dungeons is that the mobs in the chests respawn over time. Sadly, you cannot overtake a ruin because it won't let you build. It counts as an enemy block, and since the mobs respawn after a bit, it isn't exactly an ideal place to set up camp. But if someone clears the dungeon before you, you need only wait a short time before everything respawns. So simply come back later and claim the new loot for yourself or your friends. Now, if you find one of these in the Grasslands, as I mentioned earlier, you'll see a lot spawn nearby, which makes it best and the perfect dungeon to start off with, to hit up for easy resources, better gear, and leveling. Alright, so the next dungeon is going to be significantly harder. You're going to find these types of temples in the Magic Forest, or right here in the swamp, which is going to be one of the next tier areas to go up to. As you can see, it's just 2 tiers higher than Grassland, but it's still a pretty tough dungeon because you're going to be facing skeletons, which are a magical mob, and they're a little bit more impervious to physical damage than other mobs are. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll see that it spawns without a couple blocks in the top here. I'm going to go ahead and use my Master Wand, get rid of the skeleton. Make sure there's no other here. So you'll get a free chest sometimes, which is pretty great. Which will give you these these different types of elemental essences that you can use in your Apprentice Wand, later on your Master Wand. So every skeleton will typically drop a meat cube, and you'll go ahead and get bone, primary magic cores, and soul sand, which are prime ingredients for magic starting off. And you're going to need a lot of bone dust, not only in magic, but you can make it for fertilizer. So this will be your starter area. Typically there will be skeletons that will spawn in here and somewhere off to the side. Sometimes they'll spawn in the ground and you can't really do much about it. But we're here to work smarter, not harder. So we're just going to ignore them. So right off the bat, these are good because you can go ahead and get an Apprentice Wand. And I'm going to go ahead and in a bit show you the difference between the Apprentice and the Master Wand here. So for this next area, you're gonna need to bring dirt with you. Easy blocks. Make it so that they can't get up, but you can get to them. So as for the Apprentice Wand, this is the difference. It will just go ahead and drop basically you're throwing a rock. Ultimately, this is the damage difference between the Apprentice and the Master Wand. See, he just started bleeding. We're about 10 essences through. All right, we're on 20. And this, just for reference, is the Master Wand over here. Just be careful, you don't want to throw it on yourself. Like that! But that's the difference between the Apprentice and the Master Wand. It's pretty good. So, occasionally, they will drop what's called a skeleton, and you can go ahead and grab this. It's a very rare material. It only has a small % chance to drop. There we are. It only has a small % chance to drop, but it's the main ingredient in summoning skeleton scrolls. So this next chest, it will often have potions and more essences. I was able to get a Mastercraft iron pickaxe from one of these, but this is a different type of chest from the other ones. You know, they were basic wood chests. This one's iron. It's the next tier chest, so you'll get better items. So it looks like we're getting a healing potion, a power potion, and a scuba potion, which these potions will be pretty great and essential in your dungeon crawling. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a power potion just to show you what it's like. And we don't need the load potion, so I'm not going to really worry too much about it. But as you can see, we went ahead and blocked this off earlier. So this will be a good way to do it. Now, most of the time, there's going to be 3 types of mobs here. You're going to have skeleton ruins, which is just basically your melee, and you're going to have a thrower. The throwers are a little bit harder than the skeleton ruins because you could just trap these guys. They're dumb, you know. You trap them like this, and then you just use your spear early on. It's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes with a kind of okay copper spear. But just trap him in and forever attack until he is dead. The dungeons will take a little time, but you should be able to go ahead and clear the dungeon and leave before everything respawns. I think it takes about 30 to 40 minutes for things to fully respawn. You should be finished with this dungeon in about 15 or 20. Yeah, these have loot tables too. It looks like it's just copper. So with skeleton throwers, you still want to be up because they can still hit you down here, as you're about to see. So since I just have the magic, we're going to go ahead and burst through that. This will be another low-level chest for you. Looks like we got primitive spring chitin shoes, which you can put on. It'll reduce damage and it'll help you jump a couple more blocks up, which will definitely help in your dungeon escapade and make you use less blocks. So in this specific area, we set this up so we wouldn't have to worry. So you're gonna come over here, go ahead and kill the waiting skeleton. And this specific area loops around. There's no extra hidden area, but we went ahead and put these blocks here because I've used this dungeon before. Well, that's weird. Okay. What are you doing? Looks like he finally... Nope, he did not. Okay. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. Did he spawn up here? Yeah, it looks like he's up here now. All right. Well, you know, early access games, they have their problems. Okay. Well, that took care of that. For some reason, it killed the one down here, too. All right. Well, then, anyway, you're going to come over here. Typically, there'll be a skeleton. It looks like it's spawned weird. But if you want to be safe, go ahead and block these off so you're not going to get ambushed. Go ahead and aggro him over here. So your next chest is going to be hidden by these old jars. It's just a lower level chest. You'll get one essences and all of that fancy stuff. So go ahead and fuel your apprentice wands. There's nothing in this one. It's usually just a barrel and some other stuff. So we're going to go ahead and head over this way. So this is going to be the area where you're going to find the boss. See if we can... No? See if we can beat him in place. No? I just want to get him out of the way. I don't want him, like, ambushing us or anything while we're fighting the boss here. But for the most part, these dungeons are really easy because you can just cheese the heck out of them. Now, as you can obviously tell, these guys are a little bit impervious to physical damage, but they're super weak to magic. So your best bet is gonna be finding... sometimes there's a chance for a bone wand to appear in some of these chests. You just gotta keep going and finding it. Also through finding... There we go. Through finding beacons and doing that, you should be able to make it easier on yourself while you're here. I'm not even going to bother with that one. So this is your final tier. This is a top tier chest. Diamond. Looks like you get an apprentice crossbow, some dark and light, which you can't use until you get the master one, which is perfect because you just equip this and it becomes a healing over time to anyone who's standing in the circle. All right, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope this helps you get started and get that early gear, get the early levels, and makes your trip on PixARK a little bit easier. So in the last video, I said that whoever posted the first comment would get to be named after an animal in the game. And here we have Oxy, the magic mole. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and being the first comment. If anyone else is the first comment on this video, we'll go ahead and get you named as the next animal I tame as well. If you want to see the progress of all of my building, I suggest you watch my Twitch streams. Right now, we switched off from the single player because it's a little bit bugged right now. It doesn't have beacons. As you can see, I'm surrounded by beacons, which are like supply drops and multi-leveled at that, which are really good for early gear once you get a flyer. But we're going to go ahead and do the videos from here on out on this server just because I'm going to be playing this a lot. Now, this is the Twitch RP server, and I roleplay as Jenny, and you should stop by my streams and check it out sometime because it's a pretty awesome thing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and never forget that you are awesome, so just be awesome. And thanks for tuning in. This is JessicaRoseTV. Tuning out. Have a great day.